Things are hotting up in York after a pulsating night on the baize last night which saw Ronnie O'Sullivan narrowly scrape through against Sunny Akani. We are now into quarter-final Friday. All 4 quarter-finals take place today, and as well as the prestige of the UK title itself, there is still also the subplot of the final lineup for the Masters next month still very much in the balance. Liang Wenbo is in a very precarious position as things stand, and he'll be hoping that the top half of the draw is won by O'Sullivan and that Mark King doesn't make the final. I think I'm right in saying that if those two things happen, he's safe. Ryan Day now looks almost certain to be lining up in Ali Pali, but I'm sure there are interacts out there who can think of a permutation to stop that happening. I'm guessing a King v. anyone but Ronnie final, and a certain result in said final would bump Day out. Anyway, this blog is not for interacts, so let's have a butchers at the 4 matches taking place today. Click on the match for the head-to-head. 1 p.m. Stephen Maguire v Joe Perry. 2 old hands who seem to be at the top of their game this week meet here, and one look at the head-to-head stats shows you who has been the dominant force of the two down the years. It's almost a decade since Perry last beat Maguire, with 11 meetings since, of varying importance, all being won by the Scot. That said, strangely, Perry has won probably their most important matchup in the World Championship quarter-finals back in 2008 in a decider, so if he's trying to muster up some confidence, he could do worse than a few shots of that match on YouTube before this afternoon. Quite why Mags has such a dominance over a player who has always been more or less his equal in the rankings for years is a mystery to me, but one of the quirks of the game sometimes. Perry was magnificent the other night against Mark Allen, and a repeat of that performance has to give him a real chance of breaking this hoodoo, but I've been very impressed by Maguire all week, and coupled with the head-to-head will take him to snatch a close one. Prediction: Maguire 64, Ronnie O'Sullivan v Martin Gould. Just the 3 past meetings between these two, and all of them have been won by the Rocket. I think the one thing we can safely predict here is an open game. Gould seems to thrive sometimes when thrown in the bear pit, and it would be no surprise to me if he were to cause an upset here. Ronnie had a long night last night, but he seems sharp of mind and focused this week, and I don't think that this will be a factor in the match. I would say, however, that Ronnie is missing more than he usually does this week, and let's be honest, he should really have lost last night, and I dare say a more experienced player would have punished him more than Sunny did. There is a school of thought which says Ronnie already has 1.5 hands on the trophy, but I'm not sure I agree. I'm going to predict a shock this afternoon. The after-timers are going to love this one. Prediction: Gould 64, 7 p.m. Sean Murphy v Mark King. Mark King appears to be riding the crest of a wave of late, a newly found confidence born of not having to worry so much about where the money for his next tattoo is coming from seems to have given him a real career Indian summer. Yet again, though, we have a heavily one-sided matchup in terms of head-to-heads here. The pair have met 14 times and King has won just once, though it must be noted that Murphy's hold over him was broken in the China Open last year, once Mark had broken his ranking title duck. They met last month in the Champion of Champions on Sean's way to lifting the title, and although Murphy does have a major edge in their past duels, he never really dishes out a hammering. King's confidence and Cockney Sparrow-like charm is quite infectious these days, and I think it's winning him an army of new and nostalgic fans. Murphy gave Ricky Walden a right old walloping yesterday, but you'd expect the MK Don to put up more of a fight given his recent form. I think this one will follow a similar pattern to a lot of their previous meetings, with Sean keeping Mark at arm's length. Oh yes, I'm not really sure about all this Kojak stuff. It's like something that a 5-year-old would make up. Prediction: Murphy 64, Ryan Day v Mark Joyce. The 4th quarter-final again is heavily weighted in terms of previous meetings. This time, 7 matches played and Day has won 6 of them. You have to say that Day has been extremely impressive this week, and for me the most impressive thing about him is that when he's been asked real questions he has responded. 2 deciding frames of dominance is not something that you'd immediately associate with Ryan Day, but that's just what he's dished out in the last 2 rounds. Joyce is an enigma to me. He just seems every now and again to post results that far outweigh his lowly ranking position, while routinely losing to anyone that can hold a cue for 3/4 of the season. I'll obviously favor Day here, but anyone betting on this one needs their head examining. It is with absolutely zero confidence or conviction that I make the prediction below, so it land. Prediction: Day 63.